Alright, so I'm just driving down the road with my bumper pull trailer empty, okay, and it is 92 degrees outside, and I just come through town, and this is what I'm talking about. This is my transmission gauge, and it says it is, and I'm driving down the road, of course, the damn road's bumpy, but anyway, it says it's 181 degrees right now on the transmission. I have no load whatsoever on this truck. None. Other than a 4,500 pound bumper pull trailer that I'm toting behind me. So, just got up here on 104, headed south. And this thing, you know, this is what I've been dealing with and why I've been saying I want to put a transmission cooler on it, a spare or an extra one. So, we're going to add that. Yeah, now we're at 182. 182. And it only heats up like that when I'm in town. Like if I'm just putting along in town. Now if I have a load on me, driving down the road, running, I don't know, 65, 70 mile an hour down the road, down the highway, constant, it'll slowly work its way up to about, I don't know, I would say about 177 to about 183. And I think that's just too hot, especially for what I'm hauling. So we're going to add a transmission cooler to this. Hopefully get that buttoned up today on here. And, you know, Monday morning when we head to West Virginia, that'll be the true test on it. Now, I may take it for a test drive after I get everything done. You know, throw this trailer on here and go drive around for a little bit just to see how much cooler it runs. But like I said, it's 92 degrees out. 92. And, you know, it's got a lot to do with it, but still. The truck should still be running cooler than that. Or as far as the transmission anyway. The truck, all the gauges on the truck are fine. Never once had an issue out of the gauges on the truck as far as the engine. But as far as the transmission, you know, it's just running a little too warm for me. So we're going to get that taken care of and see what happens. Okay, so today we are going to start installing the transmission cooler, the extra transmission cooler on the the 99 Ford F350. So I'm going to mount it right behind the grill here. So we have to pull the grill off. So should be that screw, that one, and that one. Underneath the bottom here, up underneath here, it's just clipped on. So I should just be able to pull it and it pop off. So I'll go ahead and get that done and we'll get back to it. All right. Well, I took the 4 screws out of the top of the grill, and this thing has plastic clips on the bottom, and I'm afraid I'm going to break them. So there's actually plenty of room in here for me to work. Most of my work is going to be underneath anyway. Basically, the only reason I was pulling the grill out is so I could, you know, slide that thing down in there and just mount it to the radiator that is in the truck. So this is the kit that I bought. This was just from Advance Auto Parts. So it's not the largest kit. It is the largest kit that they had. So this, what number is this? This is number 514. So here's number 514. It's 3/4 thickness, 7.5 inches tall, 15 7/8 inches long, and 12.8 inches of core, and it says a screw on. So this is what it comes with. Comes with the hose, mounting hardware for the radiator here. Come with a couple nipples to screw onto here to put the hose on. It did come with extra hose, a couple extra fittings, whatever. And then here's the core. So we are going to mount this with the lines down, okay, with the lines down right inside here, basically directly center, and then the lines are actually going to run underneath the radiator and tie into the existing cooler that is there now. So this should work. This core, I think, is larger than the one that's actually on the truck now. So if for some reason that this doesn't work and it's still running a little warm, the next step would probably be going and doing a little investigating and seeing if I can find a deeper transmission pan and swap out the transmission pan, something that'll accommodate a little more fluid. And by all means, if that doesn't work, I'll just go buy another one of these and I'll just have 3 of them on there. I don't care. But yeah, we'll make one way or the other, we're going to make this truck transmission run cooler. So I'll get started on this and maybe get this mounted. And the truck still is pretty hot. Just got back from a run, so it might be a little while, but hopefully I can get all this done this evening before the woman gets home. It is Friday. Okay, so I got the truck up in the air. And this is looking forward. So here's your radiator here, radiator hoses. And then right here are your transmission lines. So on this one, the top line, the top line is the return. So we're going to take the top line off and we're going to run that return line into the new cooler. That way it goes through the old cooler first and it'll do its job, whatever it's going to do. And then the after that's cooled a little bit, the it'll go through the new cooler and cool on down a lot better, and then it'll return back to the transmission. So this line here is what we'll take off. So it's a steel line with a clamp. We'll take the clamp off. It goes to a rubber line. We'll pop the rubber line off of there. Probably gonna lose some fluid, which is fine. I got some extra. And then we'll put this line onto the transmission cooler, and we'll bring a new line off of the transmission cooler and tie back in here. So this original transmission cooler does not run through the radiator. It does not go through the radiator. This has an external transmission cooler, which is right in front of the radiator, right up in here. That what you're seeing right there is actually the transmission cooler. So we're going to put the new transmission cooler, the second one, all the way out front. So it's going to get hit with a bunch of air. So it should cool down. It has these, it's got all this rubber underneath for airflow purposes. So we're going to have to pop these plastic tabs off. And to do that, you just take a tool that looks like that. It's a door tool for door panels. And you just stick it in there and pop it off just like that. So I'm going to go through and pop all these off. It is pretty tight in here. So I'll get all these popped off and we'll check it out, see what it looks like. Okay, so that clamp that I showed you underneath, that was on the steel line connecting the rubber line to the steel line. That's not your traditional clamp like this with, a screw head or a socket head to tighten it up. So that thing underneath there is spring loaded. This is actually the tool. They do make a tool for it. It's not just pliers to pull them off. This is a tool that they make to take that clamp off. and it's on a line. You know, it's on a flexible line, kind of like a bicycle cable. And what you do is you just pull these down, and this slides forward, gets up to it, and it actually starts locking. This mechanism right here will lock it and hold it open. You know, hold the clamp released. And you can move it around, whatever, and you can just leave this tool just kind of dangle there if you want it. This tool, I've had this for a really long time, and it's very handy. I've used it quite a bit. I bought this when they first started coming out with them clamps, like in the late 90s, early 2000s, is when I really started running into them on the fleet side of when I was turning wrenches. So, and this tool, I think now, is, you could probably pick this up $25, I imagine. Or might even pick it up a little cheaper. I know when I bought this little, you know, I want to say a bad word, but when I bought this booger, it was $125. And I could only get it, it was a specialty tool, and as you can see, the writing's still on here just very vaguely. It's from Blue Point, knockoff off of Snap-on. So, I paid dearly for this, and it's worth its weight in gold if you work on them. This makes it real nice. I mean, it opens up wide, so you can get the larger clamps, and you can also get the smaller clamps. And working on water lines and stuff like that in your car, you know, your radiator hoses and stuff like that. This is a lifesaver because it's pretty tight area in there. So yeah, this is what I'm going to use to take that clamp off. And like I said, it's pretty tight in there. I'll try to take some video of it, but I can't promise anything. So let's get to it. Okay. So I've got it clamped on there. It's just snug. I haven't loosened it, but here's the tool. I'll just squeeze on it. Like I said, this is all one-handed, so squeeze on it, and as you see, it just popped loose, and this thing will actually lock. See, I have no pressure on it whatsoever, and the tool actually locks. So now I can reach my hand up in here, and I can move that clamp on back like that. So there it is. Now I can release it, and the clamp is out of my way. So there, I just released it, and man, that thing's just, it's a lifesaver. Like I said, you can really get into some tight areas with that thing. I imagine you could probably pick that tool up $20-25. It's well worth its weight in gold. So, especially if you're a mechanic, new guy or something, you know, it's worth having in your box. A lot of busted knuckles that I had back in the day when them clamps first came out, and I was just cussing an engineer, whoever designed it. So glad I found the tool, and just wanted to share that with you. So, all right, we'll go ahead and get this line pulled off. Make sure you have a drain bucket, because you are going to lose some fluid, I imagine. You know, so we'll get this pulled off and try to get it mounted. I hear some thunder, so I guess we just had a storm brew up. Hopefully we can get this thing done before that storm hits. Okay, got the new line slid on the new cooler. You're going to tighten these down. I am doubling them up. I don't want any chance of this coming off. Extra precaution here. So by doubling that up, that doubles the chances of this hose not coming off. A buddy of mine has a little war story. Said that they added a transmission cooler to one of their trucks, and the damn line come off, and it doesn't take long to pump out all the transmission fluid. So, you know, again, me being out on the road, any precaution I can take as I'm putting something together, I'm doing it. So this is, I guess, a little more, but it'll work. We'll put 2 clamps here, make sure we got 2 clamps over here when we put the other line on, and we'll get everything tightened up and ready to go. Okay, both clamps are tightened up here, and I think we're going to be done for a minute, postponed. We have a storm coming in. She just kind of brewed up, come out of nowhere. Nothing on the radar, but skies are talking pretty good. So I'm gonna clean my tools up, let this pass, and we'll get back to it. Okay guys, we're back. Rain came through and it stuck around pretty much for the rest of the evening. So it is now Saturday, and we're gonna finish up this cooler. So only thing that I've done was I basically just hooked the line up to from the transmission. So I'm actually going from the line that I hooked up is actually from the original oil cooler, the tranny cooler, to the new tranny cooler. I've got the transmission cooler set down in here. It's just, well, let's see if I can get you. So the transmission cooler, it's right here. It's just setting out, you know, this is directly through the front. And the other thing that I took off was this plastic shield, or this rubber shield, off of the front, so I can access the radiator. So now that I'm able to access the radiator, you have these that come with the kit, and what happens is you just take this and you slide it through the fin, you know, kind of like this. You slide it through the fin of the new core that you're putting on the cooler. Slide it through here, and then after you get it through the new cooler, now this is important, after you get this through the new cooler, you then have 4 of these. These are pads, you know, just foam pads, and they got a sticky side to them. Take these pads, then you slide 1 pad on, and then before you sandwich it against the radiator or whatever you're putting it against. That keeps metal from rubbing against metal. So, and then after that's slid through, of course, you have these round tabs that slide on the end of here, and you pull on the stem and hold this up against tight, and it's basically like a zip tie. It just, you know, locks all across here. And then once it's all locked in, you just take you a pair of snips and you cut the excess off, and it's ready to go. So I'm going to try to set up a camera. I know this is just kind of like before and after shots, but I'm going to try to set this up to where you can actually see kind of what I'm doing. So we'll see what we can do there. Okay, well, I got the cooler mounted, and what I was talking about is, let's see if you can see it. Yeah, right there. So you run the tie through this side or the other side, whatever, either way. But in between your radiators, your cooling, your radiators, in between your radiators, this one and this one here, you put that pad in there. You can see the pad in there, and what that does, that keeps it from rubbing metal to metal and wearing it out. Now on these ties here, you just take you a pair of cutters. I'm just kind of hard looking at this through the camera. You just take a pair of cutters, slide it on there, and cut off the excess, and that way it is nice and smooth and it's not going to be in the way. And then you do that on all 4 of them. Cut them off, and the only other thing that we have to do to make this work is to hook up the exit line for the cooler back down to the transmission line. So we'll go ahead and do that and button this job up, get it filled up, and we'll try her out. Okay, so here's the new line onto the transmission line, and again I put 2 clamps on here just for extra safety, because like I said, you do not want this line to pop off. It will pump the transmission fluid plumb out of this so damn quick, it's not even funny. So that's it. So that's on here. The only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run a few zip ties down through here to keep the new line from rubbing on different things, and you know, get it all buttoned up. There's your bottom look. So this is the new line, and this right here is the old line that I tied into the new cooler. So we'll get everything buttoned up and put back together. We'll top the fluids off and take her for a ride. All right. Just got everything back together. So now we have to top off the transmission fluid. Now, when I took the transmission line off underneath, loss of fluid was very, very, very minimal. So it would be pretty easy to figure out just how much that oil or that transmission cooler, how much more fluid the transmission's going to hold now, the system. So this system that's on this truck is just shy of 18 quarts. So we'll get set up, we'll check the transmission fluid, and add, you know, I know it's going to take probably at least a quart, maybe even a little bit more. But on the Ford, this is what you use, the SP, the Mercon XP. So that's what I got. So we'll get, like I said, we'll just get set up and see how much this thing actually takes. So there's nothing showing on the stick. Now on this stick, there's 2 different marks here. One's for the hot and one's for the cold. So what that means is if you just started your vehicle, the bottom level has a C on. Let's see if I can get it set up here so you can see it. Anyway, there's a C on there. On the top side here is for H. There's an H on it. It's for hot. So that way you don't overfill your transmission. So if you're just starting your vehicle and it's cold, you know, outside temperature, and you just start it and you're checking your transmission for it, you want to, or your fluid, you want to go with the cold side. If it's been running for a while, you've been driving it, whatever, you want to check your transmission fluid right before you shut it off, it's the hot side. I'm going to put a half a quart in, and then we'll recheck. So that's about a half a quart. See if it even shows up on the stick. Okay. Add some more. So that's about 3/4 of a quart. We're going to take it for a ride, and we'll recheck it when we get back. Okay, we got the truck. We're going to test out the extra transmission cooler, see how that works. So we've got the truck, we got the trailer hooked up, and I also have something on the trailer. So, yep, truck, trailer, and load, and this is what I'm hauling. This is mine. I just purchased it at an auction. So we'll talk about that in the next video. So we're gonna take this thing for a ride. This thing weighs 4,000 pounds. The trailer weighs 4,500 pounds. So that's 8,500 pounds on behind the truck. We'll take it for a ride and see what she does as far as the transmission temperature. So. All right, let's get to it. All right, so I just drove about 5-6 miles to town here. So I know the transmission's warmed up. Got all the equipment on the back of, got the equipment on the trailer. This is my bumper pull trailer. So, and we are at 147 degrees on the transmission. Already, this thing is running approximately 10 degrees cooler so far. Now I've got about a mile's worth of driving here in town, stop and go, and that'll tell a bunch. I mean, the other day, Friday, when I was just putting through town, I wasn't but 4 stoplights from the highway until I got on 104. So, it's 35 mile an hour between those 4 stoplights, and I think I only got stopped by maybe 2. So, you know, by the time I get down through here, I should be able to tell whether this thing's going to run a lot cooler or not. So yeah, we'll just see. I'll get through town here, and we'll see what it looks like. I do imagine that it will warm up some, which is fine. The big thing is we just don't want a lot of high heat. And the other day when it was 180, 181, whatever, 182, going through town, that's a lot of high heat. So in my eyes, that's just too hot. So didn't get to fix the exhaust manifold gasket on this. I was going to do it yesterday, and a stinking rainstorm come through again, and that's why I didn't finish the video. I just said to heck with it, we'd just do it today. Because while I was waiting on the rain to quit, I actually got a call on what we're doing today, and what we're doing today will be the next video actually. So have to stay tuned and check out that machine, what it's doing, you know, and I'll talk about it too. So far so good. I mean, we're up to 152. That's still a lot cooler. Just kind of cruising through town here. And as soon as I get out of town, I'm going to start getting into a little bit of rolling hills. So not major, but you know, it's not just flat ground. So yep, we'll get through town here, and we're just about out of town actually. So jump off here, I'll get down in the hills a little bit, and we'll check her again. So yeah. All right, so we're out of town, cruising in rolling hills. You know, it is kind of hilly out here. So transmission's doing phenomenal. This is as warm as this transmission's been since I started the truck today and started heading over here. And we're going to end the video with this. So before, you know, I should be struggling to pull out of 180 degrees once I came out of town. And I'm pretty damn happy. So this transmission has not gotten over 162 degrees. Right there it is. Now that was just adding a transmission cooler, and I've got a little more weight on me. You know, I've got another 4,000 pounds on me than what I had on, you know, with nothing other than just the bumper pull trailer the other day. So very happy. It does work. Time will tell for sure, but yeah, it does work. So without further ado, like, subscribe, hit the bell, leave some comments. Hope the video helps somebody as far as installing a transmission cooler on one of these old trucks. I done it. You know, this is all about me out here trucking with the old truck, and doing this stuff and doing all the maintenance myself. By doing the maintenance myself, I save a ton of money. I'll have to double check with my brother, my older brother. He actually has one of these trucks. It's a 4-wheel drive, not a 2-wheel drive, but it is a 2000 model, so it's basically the same thing that I'm driving with the 7.3. It's just 4-wheel drive. He was out of town working, and he took his truck to a shop and had the front brakes and the rear brakes done. I'm pretty sure that they put new calipers on them, front and rear, but his bill was like $2,500, $2,500. So I think I could, you know, to be quite honest with you, I think I could do the brakes, the brake lines, new rotors, everything on this truck. I bet you I could do it all myself and be at $1,000. But we'll talk to him in a different date and just to verify what he spent and exactly what he had done. But if I recall correctly, the only thing they done was brakes, rotors, probably all 4 new calipers, and they may have done a brake liner too. I'm not for sure, but I'm pretty sure it was like $2,500 is what he spent, parts and labor. And like I said, he was out of town. So apples to apples, it's definitely cheaper to be mechanically inclined to be able to do this stuff yourself versus taking it to somebody and being at somebody else's mercy. So that is a big important thing if you're out here trucking. If you're able to do the work yourself, do it. You'll save money. Until next time, stick around. Watch my next video. We're going to be talking about the mini excavator that I have on the trailer now and the purpose behind me buying that and having that as a piece of equipment for my business. So happy travels, and we'll catch you on the next one.